this is what we are doing, that de Broglie, he gave us a relation which is equal to lambda is equal to h upon mc, or lambda that is equal to h upon mv, right? When we are taking c over here, we are taking the velocity of light, and electron is considered as a wave. But when we are taking this over here, then lambda is equal to h upon mv, where v that is taken as the velocity of the electron when the particle nature that is taken. Now there are certain shortcuts over here when you have to calculate lambda, de Broglie's wavelength, for charged and uncharged particles. Okay, so let's calculate the de Broglie wavelength associated with charged particles. Associated with charged particles. What are the charged particles which are present in any atom? Electron is charged, right? Then proton is also charged. Then we have another kind of atom which is known as the alpha particle, that is also charged. So how do we calculate the wavelength of these? For example, when we are calculating it, number one, for electron, lambda that is given by 12.27 upon under root of V, and this is calculated in Armstrong. Now what is V over here? V over here, that is the accelerating potential of moving particles, or accelerating potential of all the particles which we are going to do over here. V over here, that is the accelerating potential for any electron. Okay, this would be given to you in the question, and you have to calculate lambda. So you need to remember 12.27 over here. So lambda that is equal to 12.27 upon under root of V. Similarly, we also calculated for the proton. When we are calculating it for a proton, then lambda that is equal to 0.286 upon under root of V Armstrong. Right? And then if we are calculating for alpha particle, lambda that is equal to 0.101 under root of V Armstrong. Okay, so remember what is V? V that is the accelerating potential of each of the particle. Okay, then we calculate de Broglie wavelength for uncharged particles which do not have any charge. The uncharged particles, it may be a neutron which does not have any charge. For that, lambda is equal to 0.286 upon under root of E. Right? Now the under root of E which we are taking over here, that is energy has to be first converted into electron volts. The energy which we are taking over here, that is to be taken in electron volts. So lambda that becomes equal to 0.286 upon under root of energy. Right? And then if we are calculating for gas molecules, okay, for gas molecules, lambda that is equal to H upon under root of 3 mRT. Right? K. Not R, it is K. 3 mkT. Where m is the mass of the molecule, T is the temperature, and K is the Boltzmann constant. Right? What is the value of, what is the expression for Boltzmann constant? That is equal to R upon N naught. Where R is the gas constant and N naught is the Avogadro's number. Clear? So this is the de Broglie relationship, which is very, very important because we tend to get one or two numericals. One numerical you will get in your competitions from this section, and you can also get a numerical in boards. Right? The next we go to how did Bohr's theory was authenticated, or how was Bohr's theory was supported from de Broglie relationship. Okay. Then the next topic is Bohr's theory versus de Broglie equation. Now when we are talking of Bohr's theory, Bohr gave us the concept of circular orbits, circular paths in which the electron was moving around the nucleus. So if we are considering the path of an electron, according to Bohr, the path of an electron is given like this. Okay? Whereas de Broglie said that electron, it moved in a manner, in such a manner that it behaved as a wave as well. So when it is behaving as a wave, it will obviously have troughs and crests. Okay, so according to de Broglie, the path of the electron, that is described in this manner, and according to Bohr, it is described in this manner. When both the waves, that is the crest and the trough, they are in alignment with each other, the movement or wave is said to be in phase. When the crest and the trough, they are in alignment with each other, then the movement, that is said to be in phase. Okay, but whereas sometimes it so happens that the crests and the troughs, they are not in alignment. They are not in alignment. Okay, which means that they are not, or you can also draw it like this, they are not in alignment at all. So such a phase or such a wave, that is said to be out of phase. Okay, so in that case, when the wavelength, it is in phase, what do we say? We say that the circumference of Bohr's orbit, what is the circumference of Bohr's orbit? Circumference, that is given by 2 pi r. Okay, the circumference of Bohr's orbit is equal to whole number multiple of wavelength. Right? When the wave is in phase, then the circumference of the Bohr's orbit, that is an integral multiple of wavelength n lambda. So lambda over here will become what? 2 pi r upon n. Okay? Lambda is equal to this. Now from de Broglie's relationship, lambda is equal to h upon nb. Okay, so that means 2 pi r, that becomes equal to h upon nb, or 2 pi r upon n, that is equal to h upon nb. Okay, or npr, that is equal to nh upon 2 pi. And this relationship is in accordance to the Bohr's quantization of angular momentum. Right? So de Broglie and Bohr's theory, They go hand in hand. That is the Bohr's theory of the circular orbit and the de Broglie's theory of the wave. They both give us one relationship, that is de Broglie explains the quantization of the energy levels or the quantization of the angular momentum which was proposed by Bohr. Okay, then there was another distinct principle which gave a serious blow to Bohr, that was the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. That is our second. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Now, Bohr considered an electron as a material, which we have just studied, and de Broglie said that it behaves as a wave, right? So, when it is behaving as both wave as well as a particle, then it becomes impossible to calculate its position and its velocity with accuracy, or its momentum with accuracy. Okay, which means what? We know that when the lambda that is going to be large, if the lambda is going to be large, then what happens? Energy is going to be low. Okay, so in that case what we can do, if the energy that is going to be low, then what is going to be, you can say, what can we calculate very effectively? Position. We can calculate the position. But if the value of lambda is very short, in that case the energy becomes very high. So when we are trying to calculate the velocity, we will not be able to calculate the position. That is what Heisenberg uncertainty principle said. It said that it is impossible to calculate simultaneously both position and momentum of a moving microscopic particle with accuracy. Right? And mathematically it says that delta x into delta p, that is greater than or equal to h upon 4 pi. Right? We know that delta p that is equal to m delta b, momentum. So delta x into m delta b, that is greater than or equal to h upon 4 pi. Now both these, whether we are talking of de Broglie or we are talking of Heisenberg uncertainty principle, both of these principles, they are only significant for microscopic bodies. If we are going on to bodies which have larger wavelength, in that case, both the principles, they are not going to be accurate. For example, when we are talking of de Broglie relationship, lambda that is equal to h upon mv. So if mass that is going to be large, lambda becomes very small and it does not fall in the electromagnetic region. Okay, so that is why it is not appropriate for larger particles. Similarly, when we are talking of Heisenberg uncertainty principle, if the mass of the particle that is going to be large, then in that case we can locate both the position and velocity of that larger particle. Okay, so both of these, they are only true for microscopic particles, and best effectively it can only be given by that. Now if in case we say that energy and time are given, then according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, we have another expression, delta E into delta T, that is greater than h upon 4 pi. Greater than or equal to h upon 4 pi, where delta E that is the energy and delta T is the change in time. Clear? So this is how the Heisenberg uncertainty principle that is going to be explained. Then we have a few questions which we will do in our next section. Let's see which are the questions. First question is, calculate the uncertainty in position of a particle when uncertainty in momentum is 1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 grams centimeter per second and number B 0. Okay, so let's solve the first one. A, the uncertainty in position of a particle we have to calculate if momentum is given. What is the formula? Delta x into delta p, that is equal to or greater than h upon 4 pi. So let's take this as equal to for solving the question. Delta x given to us over here, we have to calculate, and delta p which is given to here is how much? 1 into 10 raised to power minus 3. So delta x into 1 into 10 raised to power minus 3, that is equal to 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34 upon 4 into the value of pi, that is 3.14. ठीक है, so delta x क्या आ जाएगा? 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34, 1 into 10 raised to power minus 3 into 4 into 3.14. Right? So this when calculated, it comes to 0.527 into 10 raised to power minus 24 centimeter. ठीक है? But in this case, when we are taking centimeter, there is one thing which, if the answer is coming in centimeter, this also has to be taken in ergs, because delta x is given to us in what? Delta p is given to us in centimeters. So in ergs, when we are calculating, minus 27. ठीक है? Clear? Then b is, when the value delta p is 0, then what will be the value of delta x? That is going to be infinity. So whenever the value of delta p that is given as 0, in that case delta x that will become infinity. Clear? Let's go on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, what is the mass of a photon of sodium light with a wavelength of 5890 angstrom? H is equal to 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 27 ergs, and C is equal to 3 into 10 raised to power 10 centimeters per second. So over here, lambda we know according to de Broglie that is equal to H upon mc, right? Now H given to us is how much? 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 27. Minus 27, and mass of the electron, wavelength is given to us as 5890. Angstrom में दिया हुआ है, so centimeter में it will become 5890 into 10 raised to power minus 8. ठीक है? And then what else? M we have to calculate, and velocity of light that is given as 3 into 10 raised to power 10. So M will become equal to 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 27 upon 5890 into 10 raised to power minus 8 into 3 into 10 raised to power 10. Okay, so M when we calculate over here, it becomes equal to 3.7 into 10 raised to power minus 33 grams. (3.7 into 10 raised to power minus 33 grams. Right? Let's go to question number 3. Question number 3. Find the number of waves made by a Bohr electron in one complete revolution in the third orbit. Now first of all over here we have to calculate the velocity. Okay, so velocity of the electron in the third orbit, that will be given as 3h upon 2 pi m. This expression we have already done, how to calculate the velocity. Now when we are talking of lambda, then lambda becomes equal to what? Lambda is equal to h upon mv. Let's put the value of v from here. We have h upon, what is the value of v? 3h pi m. ठीक है, this and this gets cancelled, this and this also gets cancelled, so the value is 2 by 3 pi r. Right? Now when we are talking of number of waves, the number of waves that is equal to 2 pi r upon lambda. This formula also we have already done. Okay, so let's put down the value of lambda over here. That will be equal to 2 pi r upon 2 pi r into 3. So 3. Now what is the shortcut to this? We do not have to undergo such a longer calculation to calculate the number of waves. You have to remember that the number of waves that is always equal to n. Right? So if the question is that calculate the number of waves in the fifth orbit, the number of waves will become equal to 5. Okay? Number of waves that is always equal to n. Is it clear? So we do not have to take this entire calculations. Right? Let's go to question number 4. Let's go to question number 4. Question number 4 is the kinetic energy of an electron is 4.55 into 10 raised to power minus 25 joules. Calculate the wavelength. H is given to you as 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34 and mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. Now first of all, let's write down the value of the expression for kinetic energy. That is equal to 1 by 2 mv square. Kinetic energy given to us in the question, that is how much? 4.55 into 10 raised to power minus 25 joules. So 4.55 into 10 raised to power minus 25. This is the value of energy. ठीक है? That is equal to 1 by 2 into mass of electron given is 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31 into v square. So v square that will become equal to 2 into 4.55 into 10 raised to power minus 25 upon 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 3. That is equal to v square. Okay. So approximately if we are doing over here, then this and this gets cancelled. Sorry, 31. Okay, this and this will get cancelled. Okay, so 31 minus 25. When we are doing, then that comes equal to how much? 6. 6. But when we are talking of decimals over here, so it will become equal to 10 raised to power 6 is equal to v square. Then what will be v? Under root of 10 raised to power 6, that is equal to 10 raised to power 3. So this is how we calculate the velocity. Then applying the de Broglie relationship we have, lambda is equal to h upon v. The value of h given to us is 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34 upon m. M given to us is 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31 into velocity, which is 10 raised to power 3. Right? So when we calculate this, the answer comes to 0.72 into 10 raised to power minus 6. ठीक है? Is it clear? So this is how we calculate the wavelength if kinetic energy is given to us. Let's go to question number 5. Question number 5 is alveoli are tiny sacs in the lungs whose average diameter is 5 into 10 raised to power minus 5 meters. Consider an oxygen molecule 5.3 into 10 raised to power minus 26 kg trapped within a sac. Calculate the uncertainty in the velocity of oxygen molecule. Okay, so uncertainty in position over here, delta x, that will be given as what? The entire diameter of the alveoli, because that is the entire position. Okay, so that is given as what? 5 into 10 raised to power minus 10. This is what delta x is given to us. Then what is the formula? Delta x into delta v, that is equal to h upon 4 pi. M delta v. Now what is mass given to us? Mass is given as 5.3 into 10 raised to power minus 26 kg. ठीक है? And we have to calculate what? We have to calculate delta v. So let's put down the values. 5 into 10 raised to power minus 10 into m given to us is 5.3 into 10 raised to power minus 26. These are the values, right? So what is the value of delta V now? Delta V, that will become equal to 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34 upon 4 into 3.14 into 5 into 10 raised to power minus 10 into 5.6 into 10 raised to power minus 26. ठीक है? So when we calculate this delta V, then it comes to 1.99 meters per second. ठीक है? Clear? Then the last question, question number 6. Question number 6 is, in an atom, an electron is moving with a speed of 600 meters per second with an accuracy of 0.005%. Certainty with which position of the electron can be located. Okay? And the options are given to you over here. Option A is 1.52 into 10 raised to power minus 4. Option B is 5.1 into 10 raised to power minus 3. Option C is 1.92 into 10 raised to power minus 3. And option D is 3.84. Now first of all, over here in this question, we have to calculate accuracy in velocity. The accuracy in velocity, that is given as 0.005%. Okay, so we of 600, that will be equal to 0.005 upon 100 into 600. ठीक है? This and this is cancelled. And this becomes equal to 0.030. So this is the accuracy in velocity, that is 0.03. Then you put the formula delta x into m delta v, that is equal to h upon 4 pi, right? Delta x we have to calculate. M is given to to us in the question, how much? 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 into delta V, that is 0.030 is equal to 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34 upon 4 into 3.14. Okay? So delta X will become equal to what? 6.6 into 10 raised to power minus 34 upon 9.1 into 10 raised to power minus 31 into 0.030 into 4 into 3.14. Right? So when we calculate this, it comes to 1.92 into 10 raised to power minus 3. So what option is correct? C option. 1.92 into 10 raised to power minus 3. Right? So we have done 3 models now. The first one, that was J.J. Thomson's model. Then we did the Rutherford's model. And then we did the Bober's model. And now tomorrow we are going to begin with the next model, that is quantum mechanical model of an atom. Right?